Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Asia Pacific Responsible Care Conference for the year 2022. And we are now running to the session number 5 for the security. Okay, today we are very honored to have a few numbers of the distinguished guests. First, we will have Mr. Daniel Roczniak. He is a senior director from the Responsible Care American Chemistry Council. He's going to address everyone about responsible care security code, refocusing to address new challenges. Daniel, it's time for you to run on your stage and presentation. Everyone, please join me to give him a big applause for this presentation. Yes.
Thank you, Toon. And I just want to make sure, do I need to share my slides from my screen?
Yeah, maybe you can try first, and the team here, they can manage for you as well if you face any difficulties, yeah?
Yes.
Wow, it's coming up already. Yes, it's here.
Oh, okay, very good. The wonders of technology, yes.
Yeah, we are connecting from many locations. It's interesting to run this kind of event, huh?
Well, yes, and it's great to be here. And I really want to thank the conference organizers for inviting me to speak at this year's Asia Pacific Responsible Care Conference. It's been a number of years since I've attended one of these events, but hopefully we can meet face to face, all of us, sometime in the near future, or at least at the next conference in 2 years. During my remarks today, I would like to provide you with some background on the American Chemistry Council, information on our responsible care program in the U.S., and then discuss the evolution of our responsible care security code and supporting practices. And I do look forward to your questions during the panel discussion. Just a little background on the American Chemistry Council. We are the primary trade association for the industry in the United States. Our focus is on carrying out advocacy on behalf of our members here in Washington, D.C., but also in our state capitals, and often even at the municipal level when there are issues which affect our industry. In addition to our work in the United States, ACC, like many of your organizations, contributes resources to the International Council of Chemical Associations for its global advocacy work with intergovernmental organizations and the UN. We have 160 member companies at the American Chemistry Council. They represent a significant percentage of the chemical production in the United States. It's not all of the companies that are in the chemical sector, but a significant amount of the production. In addition to our member companies, we also have a responsible care partner program, which allows companies which are not manufacturers of chemicals, but ones that are taking possession of chemicals in the supply chain, such as transportation, storage, logistics operators, and it allows them to participate in our responsible care program, meeting the same requirements as our member companies who manufacture products. Now, my colleague, Jenny Human, talked about some of our program requirements yesterday. Just a reminder, in the United States, responsible care is an obligation of membership for all of our companies, whether they be members or partners. They must participate in the responsible care program. And as you can see here, as Jenny reported yesterday, we have our program requirements. There's not a long list, but there's a lot of work that goes on behind each of these program elements. One thing I would like to point out is that we have a very strong oversight and governance process for responsible care. And since this is an obligation of membership, companies which fail to fulfill their responsible care obligations can be removed from ACC membership. So our CEOs take this very seriously. So let's move on to the chemical security issue. This slide is one that I have used for nearly 20 years in various presentations on security. And it really reflects a conversation I had with one of our company responsible care contacts immediately following 11 September 2001. And we were talking about security, and she said, well, before the events of that day, security was very different for many of our companies, including hers. There was no common industry program in the United States. Companies conducted security to meet their own needs. And as she described it, her company, their security, we'll call it department, was a single retired Philadelphia police detective who was focusing on more criminal type of issues, such as theft. Maybe employees were stealing things, or you had trespassers on property, conducting background checks for prospective hires. Perhaps in some of our bigger, more high-profile companies, focusing on executive protection. But the idea of terrorism was not something which was high on the list of threats at that time. Go forward one day, September 11th, 2001, it was a date that changed our attitudes in the chemical industry about security, as well as changing the attitudes of the larger public in the United States. Our mindset was, having to focus on a new paradigm and how we were going to address this threat of security of security issues. And looking a day later, September 12th, and this newspaper article here did not appear that day, but as a critical infrastructure, the chemical industry viewed itself as a possible target for further terror attacks. This view was not just shared by us in the industry, but by government officials who were concerned about the materials we had at our locations, and also by public opinion leaders across the United States. In addition to the threat of direct attacks on our facilities, there was also concern about the theft and diversion of chemicals for weaponization purposes, cyber attacks, and also just the concern that there were publicly available worst case scenario documents that were available at local libraries around the country. That was a result of a EPA requirement that we had to share this information. Yet these worst case scenarios could possibly provide a blueprint for terrorists as to how they could have an impact over the fence line on nearby communities. I think within a few hours of the attacks on September 11th, ACC's leadership decided that we needed to develop a security code. We also decided at that time that it would become part of responsible care. I believe, the thinking was, if we wanted to have something really, focused and companies would, carry out the requirements, we needed to make it part of responsible care. The code was formally adopted a few months later in June of 2002, and both members and partners were given 3 years to implement the code. In addition to that 3-year deadline, our companies had certain milestones during that period where they had to conduct certain activities and report that to the American Chemistry Council. The code in 2002 was very much a product of its time. A lot of the focus was on those high-profile terrorist attacks or threats of that nature on our facilities. We also focused on the theft and diversion of products as they move through commerce, and especially transportation. And there was also some concerns about cyber attacks or using, hacking into companies in order to gain access to chemicals. Much of that was in that emerging B2B area that was so popular some 20 years ago. Over the years, after the code was adopted, we went back. We had our company experts review the code to determine whether any modifications were necessary. And for a number of years, the decision was no, the code was adequate. And as long as we were building up our internal company resources and experience with security, the code was sufficient for our needs. Now, fortunately for the industry, the initial anticipated threats addressed in the code never materialized, but unfortunately, other threats started to emerge over time. And we learned from our own experiences and from the experiences of other sectors of the economy how to address these other types of threats. For example, we saw cases of lone wolf terrorists around the globe, in some cases targeting industry, others attacking the general public, but very different from the attacks of September 11th in the United States. We also saw an increase in workplace violence, which is unfortunately an all too familiar problem here in the United States. We've seen the proliferation of new technologies such as drones, which present a physical as well as a threat, a physical threat, but also a threat to companies' intellectual property, which they may be used for espionage purposes to gather information for competitors or others who are seeking that information. And we also saw, increased efforts on the part of individuals to obtain intellectual property through other means. And of course, there is the daily cyber battles that are going on out there between hackers and corporate IT departments as they try to hack into your organization, and our corporate, IT security are working to build the barriers and keep the company safe. So in 2020, ACC initiated a strategic review of the Responsible Care Initiative, the entire program. This is part of a periodic effort to ensure that the responsible care in the United States is keeping up with the expectations of our stakeholders. And we were looking at all the elements of the program. And a decision was made to update our three codes: security, product safety, and process safety, in order to align them with current industry practices, the regulatory requirements that were out there governing our industry, and in the case of security code, some of these new threats that were different than when the original code was drafted. And also, again, to meet those expectations of the public. And the update of the code for security took into consideration our own company experiences, our member companies, our partner companies, as well as we looked out and were thinking about what has happened to other industries. What are some of the threats and actual activities that we've seen, and how do we ensure that we take those learnings and enhance our responsible care security code? So what's different in the code? The new or 2021 version of the code provides, I think, more specificity on actions that companies must take under each management practice. It still allows flexibility, commensurate with the risks that you face. But I will show you an example of how we've added more specific requirements to the code. We also, in this code, have looked to what is the role of senior management in promoting and sustaining a strong security culture in companies and facilitating the flow of resources to support the implementation of the code and have strong and robust security programs. The code also looks at the interrelationship of physical and cybersecurity. So trying to break down those silos that might still exist in organizations and how we protect not only our information technology, but that we don't allow access into the operating technologies that would allow someone to wreak havoc in our plants by starting to turn valves, push buttons without the control of the company. This area of cyber protection, the linkages between IT and operating technologies, something which was not, I think, even considered in 2002 when we initially wrote the code. In addition, we added a crisis management practice to the code, and we consolidated some of the code so there are fewer management practices in this new version. We think it gives our implementers in our companies a better roadmap to achieve excellence. It does complement federal regulations, which govern many but not all of our ACC companies, and also drives, we think, further integration of security into our company operations. So here's the 10 practices in our code. These are just the titles of the management practices. There are a lot more. There's a lot more information behind each one. But again, we reduced the number of practices from 13 to 10. We did some consolidation. We also added some new concepts to the code that did not exist in the code prior to this revision. This gives you an example of how we modified the code. This side-by-side comparison of the 2002 and 2021 code is very apparent, very different. As you can see, we moved away from what I would describe as a more aspirational tone that was in the 2002 code. We did not have a lot of expertise at the time about what we needed to do for security. So we tried to keep the code practices very, I would say, broad, touching on the right themes, but perhaps our inexperience at the time, forced us to, as I said, keep this a much higher level, more aspirational in tone. For the 2021 version on the right, you can see for the leadership and culture practice how we have provided more specific requirements for the organization's senior and other leadership. And this is mirrored throughout the code for each of the 10 practices. And we did this because many of our small and medium-sized companies were asking for more guidance. They wanted to understand, what does good look like? And that was the message we heard from them. So the code group that drafted this or revised the code really did a lot of work to identify, well, what are some more specific things that we can ask of our companies throughout the 10 practices? And while we still have a lot of flexibility here, there's also, I think, more specific requirements that give people some direction as to, well, what does good look like? So our board approved this new version of the code in November of 2021. All of our companies now have a have a timeline that by the 1st of January 2024, they have to complete their transition to the new version of the code. At that time, our company leadership, the CEOs, are going to have to communicate completion of this task to ACC. This is, again, a program requirement. And, to support our members and partners, we've developed guidance documents. We are doing workshops and webinars on the code on a regular basis. And the code itself is available on our website for anyone to download at their leisure. We are doing the same activity with our other two codes. We rewrote those in a similar fashion. So we are providing, again, that more specificity on process safety and product safety code. It has been an interesting journey. As I said, when we started the Responsible Care Security Code in 2002, we did not have a lot of expertise, and I would say that would be across our membership. But as we have gone through this past 2 decades, it's very apparent that there are a great many excellent security resources available within the ACC membership. So with that, I'd like to say it has been great talking to you today, presenting on this. I know many of you in the region I've met before at various security workshops, and I hope to see you again in the future. I look forward to your questions during the panel session. So, and if you have a question afterwards, you've got my information here. You can always send me an email. Thanks, Toon.
Thanks so much, Daniel, for your great presentation. It's very nice to see the good example of the United States that they have the evolution of 20 years development from the first year that they established the security code in US, right? Comparing with other countries, some of the countries may have even not started the security code. It's really challenging situation. And it's a very good opportunity to learn from you. From this presentation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I think we still together until the panel discussion session. So we probably discuss some of the question and answer in that particular session. Okay. Thank you so much. So next, I think when we learn from the US for the 20 years decade of the development of security code, I think it's time that we also learn how the Asian way we implement the security code. And today we have Mr. Rivai. He's the chairman of the Responsible Care Indonesia. He is going to introduce the Responsible Care Security Code implementation in Indonesia. Please join me in welcome Mr. Edi into the session, please. Edi, how are you?
Hi, thank you. I'm fine.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.
From Jakarta.
Yes. It's your time. It's your show, please. Okay.
Thank you, Toon. Good afternoon, everyone. Excellencies, Mr. Justin Tsai, Chair of the Taiwan Responsible Care Association, Mr. Hidehiko Yashima, Chair of the APRO, Mr. Jeff Kovacs, Chair of the ICCA, leaders, Chair of Responsible Care, members of APRO, distinguished speakers and participants of IPA 2022, my colleagues, responsible care activities and practitioners who take part in this event, wherever you are around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, great, I'm here. My name is Edi Rivai, as already introduced by Toon. I'm the chairman of the RCI, Indonesia, affiliate member of the Federation of Indonesia Chemical Industry. First, I would like to convey congratulations to Taiwan Responsible Care Associations and entire member companies for being hosted at the Asia APRO this year during the challenging situations during the COVID. So TRCA has been able to overcome them with all these efforts so that these important events can be prepared very well and carried out to the expected. So ladies and gentlemen, continues to the what then shared is we all like to let me flashback and reflecting the littles about our situation on 23rd and 26th October 2001. We hosted the 7th IPA ICSCoE in Bali, Indonesia. This is our first experience hosting the important international event of responsible care. Our biggest challenge at the time is just a noticeably short time. Just a moment before the events, we had the plan. There was a terrible terror in New York, USA, which is very well known as the 9/11 tragedy. Our biggest challenge at the times, for a moment disrupted that we have planned previously. Many have stated a confirmation of attendance. They are very happy to declare the presence in Bali and will continue their vacations there. Suddenly, many multinational companies had to adopt travel bans policy, even MNC Indonesia, not allowing their teams to come to Bali by plane. They are forced to drive a car and must travel hundreds or thousands kilometers by the land from their hometowns or workplace to Bali. Moreover, the confirmation cancellations from speaker during uncertainty due to the 9/11 tragedy, we had find replacement speaker in relatively short time. So, ladies and gentlemen, from this point, I said earlier, it has something to do with the history of the security code. Before 9/11 tragedy, it can be said that there was no concern for industrial security threats from terrorist attack. Quoting information from SEC, the industry in general before 9/11, was also among those who did not really care about this. So in 2003, SEC launched the security program in responsible care code in management practice. I think this is already mentioning. So after that, the RCE team studied for several years. We review and develop it accordingly to the Indonesian condition. After going through quite long discussion, we are finally able to integrate the security code in 2008. Indeed, this process required quite a long time before finally it was decided to adopt the security code. Since it was integrated for several years, the implementation of security code is still voluntary. Now the implementation of security code is mandatory in RCI verification process in Indonesia. From development over the last 7 years, the result of our evaluation, the implementation of the security code among RCI member industry shows a gradual improvement in performance. Currently, we can carry out the verification of responsible care for 7 codes, including the security codes regularly every 2 years. We have independent and competent verifiers in the verification process. After the verification team review the documentation and requirements, it's followed by verification at the plant site. We have the latest experience not carrying out in-person verification at the plant site or industrial facilities, but during the COVID-19 pandemic, we carried out virtually, but we are grateful because of the challenge of this pandemic. We are not an obstacle, and our verification process can still be carried out well. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to express my appreciation to the Japan's Chemical Industry Association, JCIA, which has been continuously active in APRO leadership since the beginning. According to our record, the formation of APRO began with the emergence of the idea at the 7th IPA 2001 in Bali, Indonesia, then was integrated 2 years later at the 8th IPA in Seoul, South Korea. We are at RCA are honored to be an important part of as one of the co-founders of APRO. To this day, APRO is also supported by New Zealand and NZRC, Australia and India. Of course, this will become even stronger with the responsible care global lineup. From New Zealand, we have responsible care maestro Mr. Barry there, who is continuously active and continuously dedicated in responsible care, not only to the Asia Pacific region, but to the globe. Let us express our appreciations to Mr. Barry there from New Zealand. Currently, almost all nations association apply the security code. We believe the responsible care initiative will continue to evolve with the times, and challenge after challenge will always be there. If the security code is still challenged, let us overcome together on this occasion. We would like to offer that RCI is ready to assist fellow national association with when you are needed. for best practices sharing in implementing security codes and other codes. It will be more effective if the RCI team can become a resource person in person training or workshop at your location. It's hoped that it can be supported by funding from ICCA, RCLG, or other sponsor. After this, our college, Mr. Sayid Jakfar, as the Director of Capacity Building and Improvement of RCI, will share the detail of how security code is implemented in Indonesia. Closing this speech, once again, congratulations and success for TRCA. To all participants, congratulations on joining this conference has been going on since yesterday and today. Hopefully we can recap the benefit properly. Thank you, all the best.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think it's time for Mr. Sayid to do the presentation on the responsible care security code implementation in Indonesia. Please, Mr. Sayid, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon from Indonesia. Hello, everyone. I'm Sayid Jakfar, Director of Capacity Building and Improvement of Responsible Care Indonesia. My warm appreciation to Taiwan Responsible Care Association. I am excited with all of you today. I have 15 minutes to present Responsible Care Security Code implementation in Indonesia. We have the topic today. There are 4 topics. So first, responsible care in guideline, and then the security code implementation issue to develop chemical safety and chemical security. Our RCI, with the former National Committee Responsible Care Indonesia, was officially established on October 97. The 24 company consists of fertilizer and chemical company were initiated and founder of RCI. And recently about 100 companies registered as RCI members. From the beginning establishment, our RCI member have been implemented 6 Code of Responsible Care Management Practices. Therefore, Code of Concept well understood by the whole industry in Indonesia. After terrorist attack September 11, 2001, and some Indonesia experienced again terrorist attack from 2002 and 2005. We RCI have been thinking how to prevent a terrorist attack to the industry, especially the chemical industry, with reference to security code issued by American Chemistry Council, ACC. The RCI took important steps to prevent possible terrorists in the industry, as well as the abuse of chemical by terrorists. The important point is, it's necessary to conducting the risk assessment by analyzing a threat and vulnerabilities in the industry and the other important area. Therefore, on August 2009, RCI launched the implementation of the security code for the RCI member. I will talk our objective of RCI's summary is engage member regulatory compliance, achieving excellence in environmental health, safety, and security, developing and innovating of technology and other solutions to commodity, engage chemical industry in the sustainability and circulation economy toward digital transformation, to drive, develop, and prepare qualified, competent chemical industry practitioner, and to play an active role in communication among company members. From 2010, officially RCI member company are committed to implement all code of management practice in daily activities of health and safety, environment, and security industry and workplace. As I explained before, that the code of concept well understood by all the industry in Indonesia. 7 code management practice well implemented at least key activity as showing there are community awareness and response, emergency response, activity dialogue with community, conduct emergency preparedness, response, drill with involving local community and other stakeholders. Pollution prevention, main activity, environmental and physical monitoring, employee health safety, to protect people from harm by doing pre-employment medical checkup, yearly medical checkup, health safety performance. Distribution safety code, main key activity, conduct route risk assessment in all line of transportation chemical in Indonesia. Process safety code, main key activity, personal occupational safety. Process safety performance indicator. This case we refer to API 754. Product stewardship, main key activity, consider all steps of chemical life cycle from R&D, product disposal, provide the chemical information to public, adopt of implementation of ICSCoE GPS, Global Product Strategy Safety Summary. About the security code, however, how Indonesia RCI implement this code, I will explain on the next slide. Why the security is important. First is background is life cycle of chemical. Chemical safety and chemical safety not only in production facility or the factory alone, but must be a concern at every node of chemical life cycle. Second one of our Indonesia experience with bomb attack. This since 2002 until 2005, several times bomb attack in several locations in Bali and Jakarta, and more than 200 people died. From this experience, our government and other concerned parties, include RCI, consider how to prevent terrorist attack. RCI concerned that mostly of RCI member is chemical production plant, considering that more serious impact probably will occur in case of terrorist attack to the industries. Based on this background, it's necessary to launch it and implement responsible care security code management practice in all RCI member, chemical production facilities, logistic service provider, tank chemical terminal, and chemical transportation activities. How the RCI going to program activity to implement security code? First, three general security aspect. In this system, how to secure property inside the facilities. Most of chemical plant facility in Indonesia have been equipped by display security monitor. Several chemical plant facilities are also installed with infrared monitor fence with alarm signal. This facility gives alert signal to security control system. Then security guard can detect zone in case someone passed from this infrared system. Second one is related to information aspect. This aspect is mostly related to computer network, antivirus, and firewall of IT system. Such is about the process control. In operation chemical plant, distribution control system is very important device and facility for operation. This control panel equipped by engineering key for person who has authority to change of each operation parameter. Therefore, the person who assigned it in this authority has been assessed and not be influenced by people with this to the terrorists. The first is a people pre-assessment pro employee, new employee before hire. The assessment should include at the previous company employment when experienced employee to be hired. Assessment shall be done also to employ family history. This to check the family people background to ensure whether the family has link to terrorist parties or other destructive organizations. Critical area might be accessed for trust employee and good integrity employee, this such as for chemical laboratory or chemical storage. Responsible Care Indonesia obligate its member to apply separate risk assessment methodologies, such as SBA. This is API, referred to API 760 and ISO 27001 and ISO 28000, and also Indonesia Police Regulation on Security. Currently, RCI give free option to member to choose this methodology they will apply. At the time of verification, the RCI verifier will check and evaluate the effectiveness of this assessment and verify high risk and how to program handle this risk and how to reduce this risk. Physical protection in chemical plant. This is a common security protection in all chemical plant in Indonesia. Security gate using CCTV, gate barrier, surrounding fence using CCTV, and infrared monitor with alarm signal. Also, several chemical plants still using conventional physical protection. They observe boundary fence area from small house on high elevation. Now we talk looking how the Responsible Care Indonesia designed step program implementation of security code. RC security launching implementation in 2010. Then committee meeting has been periodically to discuss key activities for each management practices of security code. All the competent resources from RCI member company are involved. In order to prepare competent resources to support security code program implementation, RCI conduct training workshop to representatives of RCI member company. These training workshops are important steps to success of RC security code implementation. For this training workshop, RCI also got great support from ICCA, GGIA, Indonesia Ministry of Industry, and other global institutions. After these 3 mandatory steps completed, RCI requests to all RCI members to conduct self-assessment for all RC7 code management practice. Then RCI is scheduling to make 2 yearly verification events, namely is IRCA. IRCA means Indonesia Responsible Care Award. This verification is done by third parties. Mostly the verifier has competence about RC7 code management practices, and some of them are retired employment of RCI member companies. In order to encourage RCI member companies to consistent and continuously improvement of implementation of responsible care, especially the RC security code, RCI released RC Award program. On this program consists of verification, present award, and annual general meeting, and also invite a welcome for new member. Although this program activity are supported by Indonesia government, international and other support from academia, also from US GSP, GRDF Global, and also from Japan METI, HIDA, and also from OPCW. Now let's view an example. One of the security consists of 3 management practice, even the already the modified to 10, but RCI still uses certain management practices. First, analysis threat and vulnerability. This management practice of number 3, it means key activity are established procedure, determine risk level, review security risk identification, and risk assessment. For implementation of security measure, this is related to the main key activity, set security objective, and security program, also implementation of program. For management practice number 4, information of cybersecurity. This is a main activity protect confidential information by password system, reset security key, authentication system, access to process control. Of course, using legal software and training education for people. And management practice number 8 is conduct evaluation and response, reporting and communicating cyber security and physical security threat. Now let's view this page of the result of verification of RC7 code management practice within key time of Indonesia Responsible Care Award activities. Let's concern to point of security code. Result, even though in 2021 with COVID-19 pandemic situation, this is also one of challenge for RCI to continue program activities of RCI with virtual verification. Even if some weak point happened on this platform verification, but the verification had successfully, verification score might improve from previous verification result. This you can see and show in this figure. This figure that 40 companies RCI member has participated on this IRCA. RC code score had improved from in 2021 compared in 2017. For minimum score from 80 to become 85.6. For maximum score improved from 87.8 to 98.9. It seems that even on pandemic situation, RCI could take challenges to improve the security code implementation on chemical industry in Indonesia. Issue to develop a chemical safety and security culture. There are several issues. Firstly, human factor. The difference of perception, understanding, interest of each person. This have become obstacle issue implementing the security code in each area. The cultural barrier. This related to second issues. One is the culture of society, and the other one is culture of company. When the location of chemical industry close to society's housing complex, this barrier almost the same as human factor. Second cultural barrier is multinational company and national company. The policy and top management commitment may differ. A difference of knowledge, and the last is consistently of rule implementation. This is my last presentation about the RCI challenge for future. Dissemination and implementation security code, including chemical and security, in order it to become culture in Indonesia. And then we are take a challenge to educate chemical security in small, medium-sized enterprise, and the next assessment to prevent terror through drone. Even though there are no recorded terrorist attack by drone. And then the improving of cybersecurity. Even though 2021, ACC has determined the management practicing security code is only 10 management practice. Now, RCI is under studying it now. Whether will revise and reduce become 10 management practice. RCI has not decided yet. The security code is still challenge. Let us overcome it together. As Mr. Eddie already informed that on this occasion, we would like to offer that RCI is ready to assist fellow national associations when needed for best practice sharing in implementing security code and other code. It will be more effective if the RCI team can become a resources person at in-person training or workshop at your location. It's hoped that it can be supported by funding from ICCA, RCLG, or other sponsors. Finally, again, on behalf of RCI, I would like to express highly appreciation to the Taiwan Responsible Care Association for the opportunity given to RCI, this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sayid. I think it's very interesting to learn how you cascade the management practices from the ACC and implement it in the Asian way. I think many of the key concerns and the future implementation looks quite similar to what Daniel did presentation. Is in line to each other. I think it's very interesting to learn how you guys have developed. To come this far, it's very interesting.
Well.
Yeah, very impressed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, so you still stay with us. So we have the panel discussion when we talk after we finish the next speaker. Okay. So we still have the Q&A for you guys to answer. Thank you so much, Mr. Sayid.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, I think it's time that we introduce next speaker to keep the time short and tight. We have Mr. Hiroshi Sasaki. He is the CISSP Special Expert, Industrial Cybersecurity Center of Excellence, Information Technology Promotion Agency in Japan. He is going to discuss about OT cybersecurity challenges and solutions in Japan. Please allow me to welcome Mr. Sasaki to the session. Good afternoon, Mr. Sasaki.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your kind introduction today. So do you hear my voice?
Yes, it looks so great. Yeah.
Okay, great. So
yes, your slide is on as well. Yes, please proceed. The stage is yours.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for introduction. So I'm especially feeling good from this morning. So thanks so much for your introduction. So my name is Hiroshi Sasaki from ICSCoE IPA Japan. So today I'd like to talk about OT, operational technology, cybersecurity challenges and solutions in Japan. So as the two speakers said, about the security code, but security means including the safety and the cybersecurity. But cybersecurity pieces are much more important than before. So some speakers said, so Dan Sansan from US said they have the big gap between the IT and OT people to improve the cybersecurity. And also the Sayid San's slide said improving the cybersecurity is the next challenge. So I'd like to share our thoughts of the OT cybersecurity in Japan. So firstly, I'd like to share our new cybersecurity laws for the energy industry, including the chemical sector, and certified high-pressure gas operator of smart security must follow the cybersecurity guidelines for plant industries issued by chemical and oil industry group. So this is brand new rules in Japan. And next one is also the new laws. And the Minister of Economy, Trade and Industry can order the IPA, this is our organization, to investigate the severe incident due to the cybersecurity or its possibility, if it is a facility under the electricity and gas and high pressure gas law. So just the second one means you need to prepare to explain how the incident happens. So you need to submit some evidence to the investigators. So this will be a great promoter of the installation of the cybersecurity in the OT plants system. So that means, more connected world is more connected right now, and of course it causes more vulnerable, and the results they're more regulated. So this is the current situation in Japan. And so let me introduce myself very briefly. My name is Hiroshi Sasaki. Basically, I was a developer of the industrial control system, such as a PLC and HMI in your plant system. And 10 years ago, so I joined this cybersecurity industry to develop the OT and IoT cybersecurity business. And so I have several hats in the private sector and government sector and academic area. So this is my short introduction. Next slide. So I'd like to introduce my organization to you very briefly. Industrial Cybersecurity Center of Excellence is an educational institute for providing the IT and OT cybersecurity for the critical infrastructure sectors, including the chemical sectors. So this organization was established in 2017, and so the very unique program we have, the Core Human Resources Development Program. This is a 1-year full-time program for these industries, such as electric power, gas and steel and oil and chemicals and the other manufacturers. And so we basically the 50 trainees from these sectors. And so we provide the IT and OT cybersecurity training and exercise for them. And so they can use the demo plant. So you can see the picture here. So we have the facility for the testing of the OT cybersecurity. So the trainees can use these plants for testing their solutions and testing their attacking scheme. So this is our facility. So we have already over 300 graduates in the industry. So it is a very big community for information sharing and resource sharing and know-how sharing. So this is my organization. So I'd like to talk about the challenges and solution in OT cybersecurity. I'd like to explain about why OT security is important. So the other two speakers said that the cybersecurity is becoming important and becoming challenges. That because we need to take care of this, but it's an apparent one. This is from the every single enterprise is going ahead to the digitalization, so they are connect with each other. So please see this supply chain. So responsible care program, responsible care covers the whole supply chain of the chemical products. I know, but every single players, supplier, factory, and logistics and customers are connected with each other, and they share the data and on the cloud, on the AI system. So then this type of the connection will provide some great new value for the effectiveness or some great, to save the energy or to save the human resources. So this is a current trend of this supply chain. But if you share the data of the supply chain more and more, apparently the data security will be very important. So the data from factory is a very important piece for the reliability of the business itself. So the factory OT cybersecurity becomes more important than before. So this is a basic background of the importance of the cybersecurity of the OT area. And so I'd like to jump in today's agenda. So I'd like to show you the key challenges in promoting the OT cybersecurity. Now, you will have some challenges to implementation of your security code in terms of cybersecurity area. So I'd like to show you, share our challenges in this area. And next, so I'd like to show you some solutions for improving the situation. And first one, the key challenges in promoting OT cybersecurity. So first of all, so I'd like to show you the three main elements for the OT cybersecurity: people, process, technology. So these three elements is very important for improving the cybersecurity. So people show the governance and awareness and training of all stakeholders. And process means policy, guidelines, and risk assessment and asset management and incident response. And this is including the crisis management. And technology shows the endpoint protection and network visualization and log management for helping the incident response and the physical security. So these three main pillars should be needed to improve your OT cybersecurity. But in Japan, we have several challenges in three areas. So first one is no one holds the ball for the OT security. So Danson from US, he said IT and OT people is not going well, and because they have different cultures. So the another reason is this OT division here, but they don't have enough awareness of the cybersecurity, and plus no responsibility for the cybersecurity. So it's not their role, so they don't want to do the cybersecurity. But on the other hand, so they'd like to connect to the cloud from the plant. So they consult with the IT department, but a CISA team, the cybersecurity team of the IT area, say they don't understand the OT business, OT asset, because they don't manage their OT asset. So they don't want to talk with OT people because he doesn't understand what he said. So the big gap between the IT and OT and the OT cybersecurity activities doesn't go well in several, almost all chemical companies in Japan. This is one challenge. The second one is a process one. And, sometimes these IT security teams will build a security policy and incident response procedures for the OT division, but they don't care about the cyber asset in the plant system. So the IT people don't understand the PLC and the DCS. So this policy and procedures is not a good fit to the OT areas. So there is some gap for the operation. And so I would like to show you the real horror stories in Japan. So file 1. So IT security team had made a new policy that the USB ports of the personal computer in the OT area and should be locked down physically in this like this. But 6 months later, so security teams went to OT area to audit the compliance and found it out the keys of this leaves were placed by side of the all locked ports. So this is a real story. And second one is the security team had installed the new security switch in the OT for strengthening the network security. But a few months later, the security team found it out. All Ethernet cables connected to the old switch, which has no security capability. So OT people said, we just forgot to undo after the investigation in the stop of the production. So this is this caused the lack of the cybersecurity awareness. And finally, so I'd like to show you the technical challenges. So sometimes security, OT people don't take care of the asset management of the OT system, but it is very important for the cybersecurity. So, but when I went to the plant site to investigate the network communication, and they provided some very nice network diagram, but in the reality, and it is very messy situation. So IT PCs has directly to the connection to the PLC, and there is no managed asset. We have no IP address management. We can find that this unmanaged asset, and sometimes we found out standalone PCs, so it doesn't connect to the OT network. So that nobody knows what happens in the OT network. So it is a difficulty of the installation of the OT cybersecurity in the plant. And so how to solve this problem? So I'd like to show you the 3-step approach for improving this problem. First of all, so you need to understand the cybersecurity risk and install the minimum protection. So doing this, so for example, you replace the 2 feet servers into the firewall and IPS. This is one solution, but at the same time, so you need to take care of the people and process part. So this is very important things for the improving your cybersecurity. Not only technology, but also people and the process is very, very important. And second one is if you realize border protection, next one is network visualization to detect the anomaly of the OT network. But imagine you realize the situation, so you will receive the alert from the security countermeasures, but you need to respond the alert. So apparently, so you need the solid organization, solid process for the incident response. So this is a second step. And the third step is, the IT and OT integrated monitoring is very is the final stage. And at this time, of course, you need people and process as well as technology. So I conclude that if you improve your OT cybersecurity, so you need the step-by-step approach, so tailored to risk and budget, and not only the introduce of technology, but also the strengthen the organization, people, and operation process. So this is very important. So this is a three-step approach. And this is the final slide of my. This is the final slide of my presentation. And the connected world needs a resilience concept. So resilience concept is here. So now this is the business activities. This is a vertical way, and the horizontal way is a timeline. And usually, so you are focusing on the prevention and the mitigation of the cyber threats. And so you can block the threats in advance. But if you have some incidents, connected world usually have some incidents because so the connected someone attacks your plant because you are connected to the outside. So the incident happens. If you don't prepare very well, and the recovery time takes too much, and you lose a lot of business, a lot of money. But if you prepare very well, you can reduce the loss of your business. So this is a concept of the resilience, and this concept is aligned my approach. Step one, and prevention and mitigation, and step two, and detect threats and respond instant. And if you realize the three-step approach, so you can realize the resilience concept. All right, so this is my end of the presentation. Thank you so much for having me today. So I'm really honored to be here. Thanks so much.
And thank you so much, Sasaki-san. It's our privilege to have you here. We know who are the real operational technology expert in terms of the security. It's cyber security in particular. It's very, very kind of, you to join the session with us today. I think it's time for the organizer to put everyone on the virtual stage so we can have the panel discussion, and probably if we have some questions from the participants, we can discuss and get some interesting experience from the speakers, okay? Maybe ask Daniel first. I think one of your presentation, I see the updated version of your slide. You put one statement, a very interesting one. You talk about from commitment to culture. This is one of the interesting development. In your opinion, what is your feeling about if you want to do a significant improvement from the commitment to the culture? What should be the engagement or step involved or implementation for the companies who really want to raise very high level of concern into the level of the culture of the organization, in your opinion, Daniel?
Yes, thank you. I think the reason we added that term culture into that first practice with leadership is because we understand that, it's the top management, it's the people at the senior level who have to send the right message. That's not to say that was not occurring previously, but they need to demonstrate, in words and deeds that they are committed to, security excellence, and they have to build that culture. And that culture means they've got to provide resources. They've got to make sure that people understand this is an important aspect for the company. And it's more than just saying, I'm committed. It is really going out and doing things for the organization, making things happen. Obviously, the CEO is not going to walk around the fence line at the plant, but they need to send the message. They need to make sure that when there are resource needs, they are addressing them and sending that message to the people because I think the people part of this is where the weak link can be, because we sometimes, as we heard, we do things even though we're not supposed to. We look out across the fence line and say, oh, those people are, we have to protect ourselves from them. Yet we miss and ignore, say, internal situations where, because, well, they're one of us, we can't, we would never think that somebody would be trying to do something nefarious. So it is really setting that culture, and it is words and deeds too.
Thank you so much. It means it shows another level of the commitment, right, for the company and the members, right? Yeah, thank you so much.
Correct.
I have another question for Mr. Sayid and Eddie. I think I have seen your slides showing the 13 management code of practices for the security code, and you highlight 4 codes out of the 13 code. Can you share, in case some of the association like to implement the responsible care security code, what should be the priority in terms of all these 4 codes? Mr. Sayid.
Thank you for the question. So this for this today, we only show the crucial management practice in security code. There are 4.
Yes.
It's mainly of this one. Even a lot certain management practices are there, but we are not focusing on 4 because it's directly in practicing in on the workplace. So it means the important point for the security code is risk assessment and analysis, threat, and also the vulnerabilities. This main point why today we are showing only 4 code as crucial management practice. That's all.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Interesting. Interesting. Sasaki-san, I have a question for you. One of your slides, you say that there's the cybersecurity guideline implemented, right, in Japan. How the industry in Japan, Sasaki-san, they choose industry like high threat security concern in Japan? Can you answer, Sasaki-san? High threat security concern, because you say that the industry is a high pressure gas operator, right? Is there any other industry that need to implement the cyber security guideline as well, and how they are selected?
Yeah, actually, currently we have basically we have the big event, the Olympic game in 2021. So at that time, we all critical infrastructure sectors, including the chemical sectors, are strengthening their IT and OT cybersecurity at the time. And so every industry, provide some cybersecurity guidelines for by themselves. So the chemical and the oil and the electricity, and these sectors are building their own guidelines for their IT and OT system. And so the high threat is, we are now the smart operation, from the remote maintenance or remote operation of the the high pressure gas area. So we need to more cybersecurity to protect the security issues. So cyber physical security issues, so such as explosion or such as a fire. So this is the main concern of these guidelines covering. So this is my answer. Is it your question? Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think I have a few questions here in front of me, and probably I like to ask individual of you to give your view, so that I think today for the security code is really challenging and interesting code to be implemented in many countries, and I think some other countries still face it difficult to implement at the national level. So maybe I start with Daniel first. That is question number 1. How would you like to share the experience at the association level for the other country, in case they are the responsible care member already, right? And they like to start implementing the security code. especially if they have to engage the regulator to implement the security code. This question is for everyone, okay? I start with any of this. Yes, thank you.
Yes, and you know, fortunately in the United States, we did not face that challenge of regulators saying, no, you can't do this. This is our authority. We were able to get out ahead of the regulations and establish our code before the Department of Homeland Security even started to focus on chemical security. So we were able to use our experiences to help shape some of the policy around that. I know in my interaction with colleagues from Asia, there are sometimes concerns that we are stepping on the toes, you might say, of regulators, or is perhaps a conflict. I think what you need to do is start that conversation early, and there may be lines that have to be drawn where government has certain role and you have certain role, but find out where those lines are, and then work within the space that the government allows you to, so that you can implement as strong and as effective a security program as possible, and then work with the government so that things are coordinated where they are working outside of those lines.
Thank you so much. Interesting. Sayid, any recommendation from your side? Or Edie, you can also share if you like. Yeah. Maybe Sayid first.
Thank you, Ton. I think from the learning from Indonesia.
Yes.
Since we are attacked by few times of the bombing, so we are very strict here to entering especially for the vital locations, hotels, airports, and also the industries. So we also have we call is object vital national. So this is the area that is protected by government, especially the police and army. So this is helping us to minimize the risk of especially for the security from the outside. I think this is the collaborations among stakeholders between the associations, industries, government, and security is very important to ensure this challenge can be solved. I think that is my opinions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eddie. Sayid, you were about to say something, right?
Mr. Eddie already explained about the Indonesia security code implementation. But of course, just one additional. That because of our experience, I already explained in my slide before, this is a concern of the security code. No, not only the government, also the other stakeholder, including the private sector. Also, all this private sector also implement security code. No, not so easy to when we entering to some private sector office or something. So everything, the thing Indonesia is based on the last experience. We are surely the implement security code strictly, and all this become continuously implemented, especially responsible care in Indonesia, and support, of course, by global institution. Like no, we are welcome also this new challenge for everyone about security code. This important thing for future. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sayid. Sasaki-san, can you share? Maybe you can share in specific for the operational technology cybersecurity. So the participant can learn from you.
Okay, thank you so much. So actually, I'm not from the responsible care, so I don't have an experience at the association level. But to understand that to implement the cybersecurity regulation to the industry, so the big challenge is the awareness of the industry is the first. So if the government order the industry to implement the cybersecurity, but it is very difficult in the cybersecurity because imagine if you have now personal computer you have. So someone says that you install the the antivirus in your PC, but someone says you need to protect against malicious software from the outside internet. So these two sentences are very similar but totally different. So the regulation need to be the instruction. So we need to say that you need to install the antivirus in your personal computers, but if you don't have any patch management, so this operation doesn't work. So we need to explain very detailed. But if the instruction become more detailed, the cybersecurity circumstances changes very rapidly. So this type of the instruction will be outdated very fast. So that we need to take the other countermeasures. So you said that you protect your PCs against cyber threats. So this is one of the instructions from the government. But this has also challenges. So the amateur operators cannot understand what to do. So this regulation is very difficult to secure and improve the cybersecurity of the industry. So this is a common challenge in the OT cybersecurity area. So thanks so much. So this is my.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think I have another question before we end the session. Maybe you can share your view, because when we talk about the security issue or plan of action that need to be rolled out by the organization or the company or even association, how you would recommend them to prioritize the plan of action, because for example, like in US, you have a new issue like cyber threat, you have about information protection, you have about operating technology security, you have about crisis management practices. And I think when compared to some other countries, the priority can be different, Maybe we start with Daniel first, how you would recommend if the country would like to implement the security, how they should prioritize their work of action or their plan of action for the security code.
Well, I think if I was starting a security program at the association level, I think this is where you need to bring in company experts and people from those organizations that will be implementing the code, and reach some kind of consensus as to, here's where we want to put our initial focus for security. Over time, that can change. And again, our example in the United States, it was all that kind of high-profile terrorist concern 20 years ago. But if we were starting from a blank sheet of paper today, it would have been a very different starting point. So you need to assess what those concerns and threats are, and say, well, we need to address the most important priorities first, and other things can fall into place later. I think if the code or the programs that you're implementing are flexible and are able to adapt, you should be in good position.
Thank you so much. Eddie, any recommendation from you?
Yeah, so I think based on today's discussion is a few things I would like to highlight. One is for the virtual security. I think everyone already aware, because we are face to face, and then we are having experience over 20 years. But I think the next challenge, as Sasaki-san, is related to cybersecurity. I think this is the one have to pay more attention, because it's the non-virtual. So we cannot see, we are no CCTV and etc. Is events, no alerts for this situation. So I think in my opinion, we need to add the expertise of IT into the responsible care. At least like Sasaki-san, so this is already alert for us how we can pay attention for the next decade, especially for the cybersecurity. For the challenge of the virtuals, I mean, the physical security, I think is already with current technology already well adapted. So I think we need to deeper, more understanding and to resolve the challenge of cybersecurity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sayid, any recommendation from your side?
Yeah, I think the same with Mr. Eddie, but this is related to the Sasaki-san today explanation. It's very exciting because this is someone for the thinking only the physical of security. But Sasaki-san today, how to say, this is not physical security. This also the related to business. No, and also for future, that IT system or cybersecurity, one of the important things for every the industry to think that more important for the business for contingency for business. So it's more important. I think the Sasaki-san need to become one also for in future also this your material to explain to the also to the other organization, for example, responsible care. So this, thank you. That's all my recommendation. Thank you.
And thank you so much. Everyone is pushing to the Sasaki-san issue. You are the key leader in this topic right now. Can you share some of your recommendations, Sasaki-san?
Okay, so everyone said my comments, so I have no comments, additional comment. But anyway, the OT cybersecurity is, the one of the piece of the security stuff. So we focusing on the safety and security first, but we need to remind that the cybersecurity is more important to protect the security and safety. So we need to combine the both. We need to consider both cybersecurity and security at the same time. So, for example, if you would like to think about physical security, at the same time, so you need to take physical security logs or physical security, alerts need to correspond to the other cybersecurity logs. So this is a next stage, challenges and solutions. So this is my recommendation. So you need to combine both of them. So thank you so much. This is my recommendation. So I will speak anywhere.
And thank you so much, Sasaki-san. I think the session is about to end, but I like to let all of you to speak some of a few sentences to the participants, because we are now holding this at the international level. And I think Responsible Care Conference is one of the high-level engagement for all the responsible care members and those who are interested in responsible care. So maybe we'll start with you first. Daniel, how you like to share, anything about the responsible care and security to the participants today? Yeah, maybe.
Sure. And I was thinking as Sasaki-san was talking, again, I'll go back to when we first started this security journey many years ago. We were worried about people flying airplanes into our chemical plants and causing huge explosions. And yet today, what is the biggest threat? It's the flash drive that someone can put into a computer in your location, or an employee can inadvertently plug into their computer, and you can now have terrible security incidents. So it's always changing, and I think that's why responsible care works, because we have to evolve with it to meet the expectations and the threats that are out there.
Thank you so much. Eddie, any closing sentence for you? Anything you like? Yeah, please. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's today discussions is very important for all of us for our next journey. Is combinations between the physical and virtual security is very important, and I think maybe can put the further action plan for the responsible care. Thank you.
Thank you, Sayid. A few words, please.
So today, everything I already explained in my slide. So I think that for future also this one of we need to consider to continue our security code implementation. Not only of course we are not only the Indonesia also because this security code link each country. Even Indonesia we are implement security code, but this is also linked to other country because security. Because the terrorist attack is not boundary in the one country, so all country in the world. So we have to take care of this one. Hi, thank you. That's all.
Yeah, Sasaki-san, maybe a few words from you, yeah?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. So really appreciate it. And so my comment is the system is more connected and more vulnerable. So the people side, we need to connect with each other more and more to share our thoughts and the guidelines and the security code. So this is a very important activity for the mitigating the real risk. So this is my final advice for the participants. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you so much, Eddie and Sayid and Sasaki-san for the today's session. Before we end the session, I like to put one statement that I read from Sasaki's slide. I like the term so much. He say, no one holds the ball for the security. That means it's everyone's responsibility for the security issue, right? Thank you so much for today that you all share the passion, the collaboration that we want to push forward for the implementation for the security code for the responsible care. Thank you so much, everyone, for the participation. And it's very nice to have you all here. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I return the session to the organizer. Thank you so much for today. It's my privilege to join you guys. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.